Hello, everyone, and welcome to the UCL M&A Group's brand new Diversity and Inclusion Week. My name is Nicola, and I'm the head of Speaker Relations at the group, and alongside me is Emerald, our Speaker Relations executive. Following the huge success of our M&A Monday series, we felt obligated to address the importance of the diversity and inclusion topic within the investment banking industry as the society with largest social media presence in the UK. Therefore, during this 7-day event, you can expect interviews with heads of diversity and inclusion of leading investment banks, M&A advisors, and panel events, which will help students coming from diverse backgrounds break into the industry.
Today marks the end of our successful Diversity and Inclusion Week, and we're delighted to welcome our final speaker, Hoby Buvat. Hoby is currently the head of EMEA Leveraged Finance Origination at Deutsche Bank and has been working for DB for over 14 years. Before that, she also worked in Merrill, Lynch and Societe Generale, where she started her career for over 20 years ago. She has a master in corporate management and strategy from ESCP Business School. As someone with rich experience in the investment banking industry and coming from BAME background, our audience and members would definitely learn a lot from hearing your insight today. So Hoby, it's a great pleasure for us to welcome you today here.
Thank you, Nicola and Emerald, for having me today. And I think that your week initiative is fantastic. So look forward to answering your questions.
Perfect. And just for the first question, Emerald went a bit about your career path. So what prompted you actually to pursue that specific career path, and how has your background actually helped you succeed in that?
Yes, so look, I mean, I had a very keen interest in corporate finance for a very long time, actually. I think that it probably comes back to when I was in doing my prep years before business school in France. And I was surrounded with students who, I don't know, because of their family background or their interests, really likes to read, more economic papers, newspapers, like a bit the equivalent of the FT in France, Les Echos, for example, which is specialized into business and finance, and it just, I think I really enjoyed talking to them about the corporate world, and always had a keen interest in, I guess, companies and corporates, industries, and the sort of the microeconomy, I would say.
Thank you.
And then, sorry, Emerald. There's the second. I was just thinking of the second part of the question, which is, how has my background helped me succeed in it? It's difficult to pinpoint to one specific part of me, or my background. I think that I'm the product of a lot of different backgrounds. I come from Madagascar. My parents moved to Paris for really to seek a better life, for them and for us when I was 8. And I think that I definitely inherited, sort of a wish to succeed and to integrate and to belong, since then, because I was, coming from a different country and different language. And I think that it definitely, what that has done to me, I think, is really increased and reinforced my sense of curiosity. Because when you come from a different background, I think you're naturally curious about the new, environment, and also learning. And I think curiosity and learning are great qualities for, studies and work.
Thank you very much. And yes, just as you touched upon your background as a country of origin, cultural background, cultural barriers perhaps, and also just wondering, as a senior female investment banker coming from a BAME background, how do you think that all your experiences so far has influenced your career path further?
Yes, so I think first of all, I'm probably not very faded by changing countries. So during my studies, I studied in the US. I did internships in Luxembourg and in the US. I started working in Paris, but then I moved to London. And I'm quite open-minded and actually, looking forward to changes. I'm generally not afraid of changing anything, actually. And so I think that definitely has influenced my career path, because I've moved around a bit, and I've also moved around, went to Merrill Lynch, and I came back here, and nothing sort of, hindered my career progression in that process. So that would be, I think, one of the most influencing factor is just I've been used to changes in my upbringing, and I've also implemented lots of changes in my career, be it country or activity or institution.
Thank you on that. And now I just want to touch upon a bit about Deutsche Bank's diversity and inclusion initiatives. So they have a couple of them, such as Accomplished Top Leaders Advanced Strategy, or Program for Women Managing Directors. So as someone who has worked in Deutsche Bank for over 14 years, can you tell us a bit about your experience with these diversity and inclusion initiatives?
Yes, I think that I think they've always been around, in fact, and the focus has moved. I think has changed over time. Just because of the representation of various minorities, if you will, in investment banking. One of the most striking aspects of Deutsche when I joined after SocGen in Paris is just how international my team was. And it's incredible that after, 17 years, my team is still extremely international. And it's just that where people come from has changed. So I think when I joined, it was very much European. A lot of us were from France, from Italy, from Spain, from Germany, from the UK. And then there's been a rotation over time. And I think we've sort of integrated more and more of the world, I would say. And there's no sort of dominant group, of people coming from a specific country. And what's important in this is that the inclusion part, of the D&I, had to work really well for all of us to work well together with coming from different countries, not having necessarily studied the same topics. For example, I feel like in France, we go to business school when we're interested in career in banking or in a corporate, whereas so it's quite specialized. What you study sort of leads you to your career a bit more, I think, than say in the UK, where you could study philosophy and then start in investment banking. And this is a difference already in terms of backgrounds, and provides diversity for this reason. And so I think the focus then on making sure that we had right inclusion was already there. I think the topic of D&I has really come to the fore, and for good reasons, is because obviously we are not happy with the representation of women and ethnic minorities in investment banking, and we do appreciate we need to make a lot of more efforts to reflect society into work, right? And so, and it's the same, I think, with be it gender or ethnic minority and any other sort of minorities, really. So we've definitely done a lot more. And for example, we have a D&I people responsible for D&I at an infrastructure level, so at the HR level, but also in the business. And that is a new development. I think that's probably a very recent, development, I would say.
Thank you very much. And as you just mentioned, Deutsche Bank is, and especially your team, is very international. And I'm sure that has brought much positive influence to the company. And we would love for you to share some of the things that you've seen already. And just beyond that, since you've worked in American banks and European banks, so just want to know, how do they differ in terms of D&I, and how has the D&I industry changed since you joined the industry 20 years ago?
Yes, and like I think that I find that one of the things that really changed, I think, is just the fact that there are more of us. If I take women, for example, the fact that there are more women in a position of influence and impact and responsibility influences D&I and how we approach it, because then you take into account the need for diversity across everything you do. So, to give you an example, it could be as simple as if you have a woman in your team and, you used to having meetings. It happened to me, so I can talk about it. Used to have a morning meeting, I'd say, 7:45 in the morning. And, for me, as a mother of young children, a few years ago, that was just like the worst possible time, for me, because that's like, getting everybody ready, to go to school. And I asked to change that time, to make the meeting later. And, that's like a small thing, but just because I'm in the team and I'm able to ask for a change like that maybe actually a junior woman in the team would not be ready to ask for, that's like a small thing, but it's the addition of small things. I do believe in that, and I think that's really the main change, I think, is that there are many more small adjustments that we are making to take into account the fact that if we want to make it work for women and take them to the most senior levels, i.e. board members, i.e. CEOs, CFOs of the company, then we'll have to adjust, a few more things to take into account, lifestyle, for example, and work-life balance, childcare, and all of those aspects. And the other thing that we're doing at Deutsche Bank, and that you mentioned, the Atlas program, which is this program dedicated to senior women, and I'm part of that program. It's an amazing program. It's so complete, in terms of coaching, sponsoring, giving access to very senior women and men in the entire industry and in the entire economy. And I'm very grateful that this sort of program exists, and it's been going for a very long time, actually. So it's been, again, it's been there, it's continuing, but I feel like there's a lot more focus and investment, and not just money, but time from a lot of people inside the bank to commit to a better inclusion and increased diversity.
Thank you on that. And over the last two questions, you talked a bit about the previous diversity and inclusion initiatives and changes within the bank. But what future actually diversity and inclusion initiatives would you like to see in Deutsche Bank?
Yeah, so it's a very good question. I really think that, look, diversity, I think it's a it's a long-term goal in terms of how can we actually increase the numbers. A lot of it will come through hiring more, because we really just need to increase the numbers. I think in terms of one of the things that we probably can do more and better is just increase mobility as well, because when you look at the bank, investment banks, you'll see that in the end, you do have a lot of women, for example, to go back to women in some areas of the bank. But investment banking is probably the least, representative. And, question is, instead of hiring a lot more people, which I think we can do more easily at the junior level than at the more like, middle senior level, because there's just scarcity of women at that level anyway. How about basically increasing mobility within the bank? And that means retraining. That means taking a bit more risk on people, because they're not like the sort of profile that we've seen so far, coming from analyst in the investment bank to MD in the investment bank, it will be more lateral. So what I would like to see is a bit more of a horizontal view of the talent pool to increase our diversity, and taking from those talent pots where, maybe we haven't thought enough, that they are there. And it takes some efforts, because there might not be plug and play people, then again, they need retraining, they need investment, but it could be a way to make progress in adding more women to the investment bank.
Thank you so much. And this is our final question for you. And this is more for our members and audiences. So many of them, of the members from UCL M&A Group, actually came from underrepresented backgrounds. So given your plethora of experience, what advice would you give to them?
I think if you're interested in finance, my advice is just try and find out as much as you can about it, about the industry. I think that it's, I'm obviously biased because I've been in this industry for so long, but, I do believe it's one of the most exciting industries from innovation perspective, and also from exposure to talent. So that's a fantastic industry. You'll work with the most talented people, I think, around, a lot of talented people, with your clients, with your colleagues, with your with the law firms, so you'll have, it's a fantastic career. You build a lot of transferable skills, but find out, really try and meet people around you who can tell you how it really is. It doesn't suit everybody, but I think if you're already a member of the UCL M&A Group, it means that you have a keen interest in it. So carry on figuring out what a career in an M&A team, for example, really entails. Don't be shy. I think generally people like to talk about what they do at work. So reach out, maybe ask UCL alumni about their experiences in banking, and be open-minded. I think that again, it's an innovative industry, and there are always new jobs, new opportunities, new ways of doing things that might be very different from when I joined 20 years ago.
Well, thank you for all the answers, especially for the advices. I really do think that it will greatly benefit our members and the viewers overall. And especially I like the answer about future D&I initiatives, about the mobility. So thank you on that as well. To our viewers, please do consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel.
Thank you both, and I really enjoyed this conversation. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.